Welcome to the Cincy Postcast. I'm Kevin Wallace, and before we get started with today's episode, I want to tell you about our friends over at Streetside Brewery, the best damn brewery in the city of Cincinnati, located on the east side of Cincinnati in Columbia, Tusculum. They are doing it right over there. Look, they've been around for like nine years now. All right. They're doing good stuff, established in 2016. And honestly, with the brewery news we've seen in and around Cincinnati recently, you gotta support it. You gotta love it. You gotta love that these guys are still kicking and they are still innovating. They are still trying different things. They're doing different things. Look, this Friday, August 22nd, is Pickle Fest at Streetside Brewery. They got the return of their pickle beer. Okay. There's good stuff happening. They are always pushing the envelope at Streetside. They also, I appreciate this. They have a beer. They have a drink for everybody. They've got the full bar with the liquor and all that stuff. They've got beers on tap, literally called the boring beer. They've got your classic, Mexican lagers. They've got easy drinking options. They've got the haziest of hazy IPAs. They do the dark stuff better than anybody else. It is an amazing variety there. If you have not checked them out, check them out. They are a pub partner of FC Cincinnati, a great place to watch an FC Cincinnati match, a Reds game, whatever you may be into. They have super friendly staff, a lovely patio, live music happening all the time. Go check them out. So a huge thank you to Streetside for sponsoring this and so many other episodes of the Postcast. And on today's episode, oh, baby, we recorded this right after we learned about the trade of DeAndre Yedlin. We don't know at the time of recording how much or what we are getting back in return. We have also heard through various grapevines and rumor mills that big things are happening on Thursday. We don't know anything, okay? But we have the reaction to Yedlin being traded to Real Salt Lake in part one. Other FC Cincinnati news, including Miles Robinson extension, Daly being loaned out to Bethlehem, and some of the other newer players coming in at different times over the next couple of weeks. We break it all down for you. In part two, we look ahead to the match against NYCFC at home. Put it together, you have a very special episode of the Cincy Postcast. Joining me to talk about all of that and more, I am joined by two gentlemen who were excited to see that the news came out before we hit the record button. I am joined by the Chief. I am joined by Grayson. Chief, yes. We know about half the deal, but it's more than we normally get before we hit record.
I was going to text the group when the rumor came out in the strangest way. I became aware of this impending rumor with Grayson tweeting, "This is going to sound strange, but I think Pablo Mastroeni is suggesting that we're getting a trade done between us and RSL." And I was going to suggest do we need to wait? Do we need to tape the World's Gam first to see if news breaks? So I am happy for Tom Bogert, just ripping the Band-Aid off before we start recording.
Yes.
I think it is inconsiderate, though, that the FIFA transfer window closes, at least in America, or the American transfer window closes on a Thursday instead of a Wednesday. For recording purposes, Wednesday at around 8 o'clock would be ideal. So, I know Don Garber and I know, the U.S. Soccer Federation listen to this. We can do better.
Yeah. I had the thought of pushing the postcast back a night and doing another transfer window live show.
It didn't seem like we were going to do anything. So.
It really didn't. So, and then all of this broke way too late to pivot. So
I believe Chief early in the window said that Ender would be it. And we thought, well, we got Jabari theoretically.
Yeah.
We got
Geedy officially.
So that's 3 pretty substantial moves. More than we thought. Got rid of Corey Baird. Great.
Yeah, sure.
Happy to just be done with the window now.
wait. Presumably, okay, so we should back up. At time of recording, which is just a little after 9 p.m. on Wednesday night, all we know is that DeAndre Yedlin is moving to RSL and signing a long-term contract with them. He was at the end of his guaranteed contract here in Cincinnati after this year. Earlier this week on our Discord server, I posted a list of players I assumed would not be back next year. I included Yedlin in that list. I don't think him not being here in 2026 isn't a surprise. I don't think anybody saw us moving on from Yedlin right now. So, Chief, gut reaction, and granted, we don't know the corresponding moves. We don't know how much we're getting back from RSL. Potentially a player is included in that. And we don't know what other additions may be coming in the next 24 hours or so.
All right, so I would be surprised if we get a player back from RSL.
Same, it's just
generally
possible.
Speaking.
Right.
Yeah. My gut reaction is I'm surprised by the timing that it's happening this late in the window. This feels like something that I would have assumed if this was in the works, this would have gotten done a lot sooner. I mean, it's 2 MLS clubs working on it. There's no visa issues. There's no international considerations for this. As best I can tell, it didn't look like either side needed to clear something in order to make this deal happen. He's a domestic, obviously as an American, so there's no issue with any of that. So the timing feels weird. DeAndre Yedlin overall moving. I take a step back and I look at it like this. If his name was Tom Smith, and you looked at his player profile, you looked at what he's done for this team, and you backed out the fact that he's DeAndre Yedlin, soccer legend.
Yeah.
Well, American soccer legend.
Coolest guy in the league.
Yeah. Soccer royalty, a guy that is beloved by all accounts, by every member of the player pool. No, it's not surprising from that regard. I mean, it was told to me from a source that I would consider to be pretty reliable, that if we hadn't gotten the Cheeto and the Ian Murphy deal done in time ahead of the expansion draft, we were all wondering who's getting left unprotected. I'm told that was Yedlin that was going to get left unprotected this offseason. It's not surprising to me just because he really, even ever since he got here, it has been a imperfect fit for him playing wing back as a natural right back. And he has never really looked super comfortable playing wing back.
Yeah.
So from that standpoint, again, if you just going off blind resume and going off the film, I think would be kidding ourselves if we're shocked by this.
That's crazy. That is absolutely crazy talk. It is very different to leave a player unprotected in the expansion draft, or to even trade a player in the offseason, or not pick up a player's option or whatever, than to take a guy who has been in your starting lineup in the league 22 out of 27 games and move him with 7 games left in the season. I'm sorry, people are going to talk themselves into whatever. There is no replacement on this roster. I don't care if you think Yedlin's been good or bad. If they thought there was somebody on the roster who would be better at starting at right wing back than DeAndre Yedlin, we would have seen that person start more than the 5 games that Yedlin was given a little bit of rotational rest. And this is a team that we're told is in win now mode. This is a team that's first place in the East, tied on points for top of the Shield standings. I assume if this assumption's wrong, someone needs to tell me that they think of themselves as an MLS Cup contender, and they're trading one of their most reliable starters in terms of at least number of games started in the same position, which on this team is a big deal. Given that very few players get the luxury of starting in the same position week in, week out. And with, it's with no replacement on the roster. And so, yeah, we can see what else happens, but it's very surprising if this is indeed what happens, make your team that's looking for multiple trophies still worse on the eve of the transfer deadline. Right?
Yeah,
no, you can't. Yeah, that. That's what happened.
I can that all I want, because we've sat here on this show. We have sat here on this show, and you, me, Kevin, to a certain extent, have all come to the same conclusion. And that is that this team is an offensive black hole going down the right-hand side because DeAndre Yedlin won't push forward. Everything on this team plays left because DeAndre Yedlin is not a wingback that's getting forward enough. And you say he has started all but like 5 of the games this year. Well, they just added Ender Echenike, who they paid a non-insubstantial amount of money for.
They've had chances to start at right wingback, and they haven't.
Okay, what? The 3 games he's been around, they haven't started him because they've been working him into the roster?
Just slot him in 7 games in.
Sure. That's the point of
a game ago would be too early. A game ago would be too early, but the next game, that's the exact right time. No, perfect.
I'm sorry. I'm told that people want to see the kids playing. And here we brought in a incredibly aggressive, fast right wing back. And now all of a sudden we're supposed to pearl clutch because, DeAndre Yedlin isn't around to take his spot. That's the point of the U22, is that he comes in, everybody thinks he's looked good. I'm told that I'm the jerk or the asshole for not wanting to play the kids. And now all of a sudden we're pearl clutching, like I said, over a 31-year-old who doesn't provide any offense for this team when we all want them to score more goals and be a little less defensive focused. I'm sorry. Did I miss the episodes on this show where you, Grayson, were sitting here talking about, I don't understand why the wingbacks have to play so defensive. You've got a defensive midfielder and 3 center backs. That should be more than enough to cover this for them to get forward. Okay, buddy. Well, now they're going to do that, and all of a sudden we're pearl clutching right here.
Well, okay, but here's what do you think is more likely? That I was right all those times, and or Pat Noonan just doesn't know what he's talking about? Or does Pat Noonan just not know what he's doing?
That's a rock and a hard place.
Has he been starting DeAndre Yedlin at right wing back over any other option all season because he just simply doesn't know?
I would say that they haven't had Ender Echenike on this roster of the 27 games. They have not had Ender Echenike on the roster for like 24, 25 of them. And now they have a guy who they have seen that they have started to give extended minutes to. And now all of a sudden, maybe they feel more confident about the fact that, yes, we can trade from this position to let this incredibly aggressive, fast, exciting young U22. Isn't this what everybody wants?
No, wait. First of all, I have heard, I'm going to try to rattle through them. But I've heard a number of explanations that people, this kind of feels like when refs screw up calls and like Andrew Wiebe is coming up with like 4 different explanations for like why that was the right call. And then Pro comes out on the back end and says like, yeah, we screwed this one up. It's like, you don't have to you can, right? But if you want to defend this move, and I think you can, you have to decide what is the thinking behind it. Okay. And so there's been a number of things I've seen just in our Discord and on Twitter that are trying to justify the move, and they're not really consistent with each other, or at least they don't. What?
We don't know. We're speculating. There's one guy that knows the answer, and he isn't talking right now.
That's what I'm building to, you jackass. I'm actually gonna put my cards on the table and say what I think makes this a smart move.
Okay.
And what I'm judging it by.
Okay.
But instead, all we know is that we've been told this is a good move, so we're going to say it's a good move, I guess. But here's how I'm judging it's a good move. Okay.
Yeah.
That there is a corresponding addition.
Okay.
That at least competes or can compete for that starting right wing back spot. Because I don't think that there is a starting right wing back on this roster.
So you're not believing in Echenique?
No, because we haven't seen him play right wing back yet.
Well, I'm told we're supposed to play the kids. They don't get better if you don't play them.
Okay, well,
give Dono more minutes.
Look, man. I know you got some text messages, and now you got to defend the move.
I don't appreciate my voice being like that, Chief.
But
those are my takes.
But look, I'm saying yeah, play the kids if they're good, and if there's a replacement wingback that comes in and is a quote unquote kid and is good and better, then great. We moved on from a player and found a better one. But if the plan is to just throw Echenique there, man,
You're
I don't know.
Confident in it, then.
Like we can't cover the space behind one aggressive wingback. And I don't know why we can't do that. I think we should be able to do that with a very defensive midfielder and 3 strong center backs, 2 fast center backs usually. I think we should be able to cover those spaces, but it's clear we have trouble covering one side of those. Now we're opening up 2 sides of those. Okay.
Maybe it's harder to attack both sides. And the opposing team is drawn out more.
Maybe. But here's the other thing. No. Because I've heard a number of possibilities. And for me, it's we are bringing in somebody who we think we can compete. So we're comfortable moving on from Yedlin now and happy for him to go to a place where he can sign a long-term deal because he's not in our long-term plans. Okay. Sure. But those have to go together to me. Saying he's not in our long-term plans, period, and just moving on and saying we'll backfill with 7 games in the season, you're shipping the shield race. You just are.
Oh,
you are hamstringing yourself because if you had, I know we could say Echenique all we want, and maybe he comes out and just really blows us all away next game. Okay. But I didn't see him putting the ball in the back of the net against Charlotte.
How many times has DeAndre Yedlin put the ball in the back of the net this year?
He's gotten a couple of assists.
There we go. So that would be what? The number I'm looking for here is how many goals?
How many assists does Echenique have?
He's been here 2 weeks.
Well, fine.
He barely knows where the training facility is.
No, but he's the one who's going to carry us to the cup. We're sold on him. He's the guy going into MLS playoffs.
If that's the evaluation of Albright and Noonan, then yeah, this makes a lot of sense. But you can't just sit here. None of us can sit here and say that until they talk. When you're saying there has to be a backfill move in, for all we know, that's Echenique, and they're sold based on what they've seen on the field and what they've seen in training. And if that's the case, fine. Then you're getting assets for a guy that's not in your plans. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like
I have not gotten to make my point yet.
Make your point.
I wanted to dismiss my whole setup before I was interrupted 7 times was that I've seen people make some justifications that I think just can't be correct. Okay. One is just because he's not in our future plans. That can't be correct. You don't make future cap saving moves from a guy who is out of contract after the season when you're pushing for a Shielding Cup. Another is that we needed the roster space. We didn't need a senior roster spot. We have a senior roster spot for Guidi. And Yedlin doesn't open an international spot. Now, right. Maybe they're trading an international spot for him, but that doesn't feel like enough. And I would rather just move Kenji Bomadem back to MLS Next Pro to free up international spot than lose a starter. Okay. So maybe, and then, those are explanations that I just don't buy.
Yeah.
Maybe they do want to force Pat to just start Echenique at right wing back. Okay. I think that's a bit of a crapshoot move.
Yeah, it doesn't strike me as something Albright would do to force. Like he and Noonan seem to move in lockstep so much. I don't think there would ever need to be a situation where Albright has to take something away from Noonan to force him to do something. That doesn't seem sensible.
Okay, maybe Noonan went to Albright and said, I'm going to start Ender Echenike starting next game and for the rest of the season at right wing back, no matter what happens. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Possibility. Yeah. And if that's the rationale, then I do question the wisdom because it feels very risky, but maybe it works out. Okay. I think that the smart process move still is, even if you think Echenike might be the guy at right wing back, I think you need to have somebody else.
That's fair.
Okay.
So
that's my benchmark. Is that they're bringing somebody else in? Otherwise, it feels too risky, given where they are in the standings in the season
to compete. Okay, so Grayson, then let me help me square this then, because you and Chief have probably been the two most critical of FC Cincinnati's performance so far this season in general. And I don't think, and this is where I would like some correction or clarification, I don't think DeAndre Yedlin was such a crucial piece to this team being good per se. Like, again, like if he has a different name and he's not DeAndre Yedlin, he doesn't feel like a crucial piece of the puzzle. And so if there's been criticism of the way this team performs, I don't understand the criticism of then getting rid of a starter.
Because that's who you have.
Yeah, I'm waving my finger there because Kevin's right on this.
No, because that's who you have.
Okay.
And if they were purposely playing worse lineups than the best 11 that they have, people should be fired. Okay.
That's fair.
So I'm assuming that the coaches have not been putting out worse than optimal starting lineups on purpose. I know that there's been some injuries and stuff that have played into it.
Yeah.
But if the secret to fixing the underlying stats, and I know Echenike hasn't been on the bench the whole season.
He's a little bit of a wild card here, yeah.
But let's pretend he's a 20-year-old who just got here from Venezuela. Okay.
Okay. I'll try really hard.
If the secret to the better underlying stats has been like playing Orishano at right wing back, then Jesus, what have we have to call in a consultant to figure out if we have the right people coaching the team. I don't think the secret is playing Orishano at right wing back, because I don't think he's been that good at right wing back.
Right.
But yeah.
So look, here's the what I can't square. Number one is, before we go any further in this conversation, I think it's just worth saying I like DeAndre Yedlin as a player. I like DeAndre Yedlin, what I know of him as a person. I've been watching
with the hot takes.
No, I like I have been.
He's the most likable player on the team.
But that's part of the point here.
Yeah,
I've been watching DeAndre Yedlin play soccer as an American soccer fan forever.
Yeah,
and he's been an exciting player. He was one of those guys where it was like he was a great American hope going over to England, where, you know, hey, we can make it on the big stage. And, you know, before all of our Euro-based players were low-key insufferable, he was a guy that was going out there and, you know, he was a positive thing as an American soccer fan. And him being on this team has been just really cool. But don't get it twisted. He's not the DeAndre Yedlin of 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And from jump, he has not been a great fit on this team. And you know what? You know, you talk about like, oh, well, then somebody should have been fired for playing him all this time. They got him from Miami. They're paying him close to $1 million. There's not a real reality that he was going to end up on the bench this year, just based on a salary number alone. But for what it's worth,
how many players making close to $1 million sit the bench on this team? You have Santos, you have Kubo, you have Hadebe, you had Baird, who was on like close to $800,000.
Sure, there had to be a limit somewhere. But we were talking about this in We were talking about this at the start of the year. With you got Lucas, you got Engel, and you've got Orishano. You had two wingbacks. Like, what does this mean for DeAndre Yedlin? We were talking about possibly DeAndre Yedlin playing center back to keep him on the field because we didn't think, the collective we, the three of us, the brain trust for what it was, didn't think DeAndre Yedlin was one of the top three wingbacks on this roster when they assembled it at the start of the year. And so, again, if you just look at the metrics and you look at the way this team is played, I'm with Kevin. Like, has there been anything that's been happening down the right-hand side of this team, this offense all year, that we're thinking, oh man, this is going to handicap the team going forward? Like, you have to be able to divorce the fact that you like DeAndre Yedlin. You like the fact that DeAndre Yedlin plays for FC Cincinnati, and it's been kind of cool to have him here. You got to divorce that from the play and the film and what we've seen on the field from him. And once you get over the initial shock of, oh my God, DeAndre Yedlin's gone from this team, they moved on from a guy that was making a lot of money, that wasn't a great fit at that position, that hasn't been a great fit at that position. And it coincidentally comes a couple weeks after they get way younger, way faster, and way more aggressive at that position. And yeah, I hope they bring in another right wing back just to add some depth to the roster, or another player that can play there. But like, isn't this something we've been asking for like going on over a year now?
I'm going to assume, though, that we didn't know what we were talking about.
I've got breaking news for us. So I asked Tommy Scoops, hey, what are we getting in return? And he says, and I quote, more or less salary cap relief, a little gam beyond what gam since he spent to buy his contract down. I don't know for sure. So we're just getting some gam. This is salary cap relief, which I would assume would be making room for a corresponding move, because you don't need to make room for an already set roster. And
I would agree with that.
And he's not necessarily on the team next year, so it's not like they were clearing multiple years of a guaranteed contract or something.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So
TBD, but no player, and he didn't mention an international spot. Potentially that's in there, but yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and I guess just to touch on the one point where, like, yes, I and others questioned whether he should be in our starting 11, but I don't have the hubris to think that I knew more about the quality of the options at right wing back than the coaches did. I mean, obviously we're going to raise questions and whatnot, but it just seems odd to me to have made the judgment all season that him at right wing back is the best choice that you can make for this lineup. And then suddenly it's not. And so like the only thing that you said, Chief, that I think can even be considered is the addition of Ender Echenike. Like, other options at right wing back that were already on the roster, throw those out the window. They've already been rejected.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with that. Like, we've known from jump that there wasn't a great option there as soon as the decision was made that Luca Orishano simply doesn't play as well inverted as he does in a traditional wingback setup. Like, the question all year, or at the start of the year at least, was how do you get Luca Orishano, DeAndre Yedlin, and Lucas Engel on the field together? And there was, I think, consensus that of the three, the first two were more important than the last one. But that was also based on the fact that they thought that Luca Orishano could play striker. He couldn't do that.
Right.
They thought that he could play inverted. That hasn't worked as well. Maybe they go back and they try that again, with different personnel on the field. Like, they didn't have Kai Kamara playing hold up when they tried that originally. They didn't have Dado Valenzuela playing as well as they did when they tried that originally. So I don't know. Like, I don't know. But what I do know is that I find it hard to get fired up other than the fact that this feels like they're changing things. And I can't in good conscience sit here and get mad when I've said I think the offense needs to change. They need to score more goals. They need to be more aggressive. Well, any move they make is going to result in more aggressive play from the right wing back position. It's going to be hard unless they go and they get another aging right back and try to convert them to wing back, and they play more conservatively than DeAndre Yedlin, which that would be just like, hitting a gut shot straight in terms of like the odds. I think that they're going to result in a play style that I've been advocating for more than they're playing right now. So why am I going to criticize that?
So I just hope that I would just hope it doesn't result in more goals scored against us without translating to even more goals scored for us.
Going the other way. Yeah.
We're already massively upside down on our XG. Like, what's it going to do? Get worse?
I'm talking about RG.
Real goals.
Real goals.
There's expected goals, and then there's real goals.
That's the fun part, is that this team, statistically, if you believe the stats, is due for a regression to the mean in terms of goals allowed and goals scored. And if that happens, we're going to look back on this and say, oh my God, DeAndre Yedlin was this incredibly important piece, when really it was just, water finding its level.
Yeah. So as it stands right now, we don't have the corresponding move. Things certainly would seem to be heading in that direction, because it does not appear to be a massive haul from RSL. Yedlin had a handful of games left on his contract. It's not like he was going to command a massive transfer fee.
We also didn't pay anything to get him either. Like we basically got him for free from Miami.
Right. So that leaves us, again, until a move comes out, midnight tomorrow, with your right back depth chart looking something like Ender Echenike, Luca Orishano, Yuya Kubo, Lucas Angle, Alvis Powell's in there somewhere. And then the left side is Angle and Orishano, and again, potentially Yuya Kubo and Alvis Powell. It's not ideal, but it's not without its depth. Right.
It's fine. It's fine. I'm not going to worry about it, again, because I criticized the play style with Yedlin on the field. Like, I do think they're going to try seeing if the quote unquote gel has made it such that potentially putting Luca Orishano inverted again, because he clearly likes to play that way. I think they're going to try and see if that works. Maybe. I think that they're going to give Ender Echenike every opportunity as well to play out there. I think they have options, and I think the options are going to be more aggressive. I'm not super worried about this position. I'm more worried about the health of Miles Robinson. I'm more worried about whether or not Yuya Kubo can come back and be effective in terms of providing another depth option off the bench. I'm more worried about getting Kevin Denke back into full, can go week in, week out, make sure that he's all right with this. And I'm more worried about getting Obi back, since they haven't put him on season-ending injury, about getting him back before October. Like, that's, to me, all more important than the right wing back position. They have options out there, and I don't think you're going to notice to the degree that a lot of people are worried about on this.
So you mentioned Luca Orishano. What's the update on his health? So you say we have options at there. Well, Kubo just joined training yesterday, and Orishano is not currently training, as far as I know.
We'll get an update on him tomorrow when Pat Noonan has his pre-match availability. Yeah. He didn't have pre-match availability today.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know where that stands. We know Kubo's back with the group. I don't know what Orishano's situation is, but if I may, back in the year of 2021, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games an FC Cincinnati player played at right back. That player, Nick Hagland.
How'd those go?
Don't ask.
Draw, loss, win, loss, which for 2021, pretty good.
It is pretty good for 21, yes.
That's by comparison, that's winning the Supporters Shield right there.
Graded on a curve, incredible. Went full 90 in all of those as well, by the way.
You know, I think there is a reality where this makes the team better. I really do.
Ooh.
Like, think about like how this team has played and the patterns of play that we have criticized all year. Like, you can go on to MLS Analytics on Blue Sky, and they do, for every game, they do pass charts, they do heat maps, they do advanced data tracking for each one of these games.
Yeah.
And you look at FC Cincinnati, and there is nothing happening on the right side of the field. There just never is. There's not even a threat of anything happening on the right side of the field. Just by having something over there that is more threatening than what we've had, even if you just keep Luca Orishano on the other side when he gets healthy, the fact that the defense has to at least respect the switch of play or someone with some speed getting behind them, and the fact that they can't just crash one half of the field any longer, just opening more space for creative players, especially our players that are a little more dribbly in their tendencies. I think that could have a positive impact on things if we just aren't so conservative on one side of the field.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you can make a case for Ender. I don't buy at all we'll do Orishano on right wing back and Lucas at left wing back. But again, like, my feeling is there has to be somebody coming in who can at least compete for the spot.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm very nervous.
What would you define that as? Like, are we talking like if they bring in, I think they have a U22 spot open still. If they brought in another U22 right wing back, is that, it's another unproven person? Or do you need someone who is, an equivalent salary value, like another $1 million type player to come in? What do you consider to be that kind of a move?
I would want somebody with like real pro minutes. And I mean like first division somewhere pro minutes. So like a U22 who has played a bit at some first division at right back or right wing back or right wing. That would be fine. Or even just somebody who is a rotational starter or homegrown or even like frequent, part-time starter, part-time sub for somebody else around MLS. Just somebody with some kind of first division track record there.
Okay. Would you be okay with a Ender Echenike resume on another player? Say the Ender Echenike from Peru or whatever.
Yeah, I mean that would depend on the player.
Okay.
Hopefully, I would want somebody who is with a bit more defensive experience than Echenike.
Gotcha. Okay.
What if we were signing someone and we said we're going to bring someone in who is a 30-year-old supplemental player who hasn't played a lot of minutes? We're just bringing him in. He's a warm body out here. And if he can help out behind Ender Echenike for a minute or two, that's great. He's played in MLS a little bit before this, but really and truly, he's not someone that has ever been reliable. He's flamed out of other teams before, was without club for, I think, over a year.
This sounds like you have somebody in mind.
Well, you would be upset about.
Figure it out as we're going.
You would be upset about that. You would say, "Oh, this person is not going to be able to help us. This person is not real competition. This is just a warm body. They don't know what they're doing."
No, that depends on the player. Like a 30-year-old is a vet.
because that was Yamil Assad last year.
Ooh.
And he gave significant minutes to this team and played really well in the wingback role.
Well, good thing I didn't say just now I didn't want Yamil Assad.
I'm just saying that, like,
what if it actually is Yamil Assad?
Wait, hold on. Did Yamil Assad have first team minutes?
Yeah, DC United.
Yeah, had he played at a professional level before?
Yeah.
Had he played on the right side? I guess not. He played on the left side.
You would melt down if they were bringing in some supplemental roster jabroni and saying this is our backup for Ender Echenike. Nobody wanted Yamil Assad last year. It depends who it is. Nobody wanted him.
I praised the Yamil Assad signing when it happened. I didn't expect him to have as much playing time as he got.
Lucho Acosta's support animal. Like it was.
I didn't think he would play as much as he did, but I was pro the signing when it happened. So don't put words in my mouth. Give me a player. Name a player and ask me if I would like that player.
We need Luke the intern back to check the tapes on this.
Don't say you wouldn't like a guy who you already are on tape liking.
I don't believe you said it.
Hang on. 33 years old, not worth a damn. Kyle Smith. Come back home, buddy. One of the only other professionals in Major League Soccer with, from Cincinnati. Doesn't look like
he's Yamil Assad's down in Brazil playing right now. I bet we can get him back for not a lot.
I looked it up. Ronald Matarrita is currently at Alajuelense.
Yeah.
So
get the band back together.
Kyle Smith, 33 years old, current market value according to FOTMob, $100,000. Come on, bring him back.
I guess put a bow on this conversation. I do think it needs to be just said at the end. It has been really cool having DeAndre Yedlin on this club.
Absolutely.
I don't know that he was always the best fit for what this club needed. But he went out, he competed, he gave good minutes. He seemed, by all accounts, to be an incredible ambassador for this club, willing to do social media, to be involved, to be engaged, to make his family available, to share them with us as well as fans, and, to see them sort of experience a little bit of the city and see a little bit of his career that way. He is American soccer royalty, and I love that he played here. And I do wish him all the best at RSL. And I think that'll be a good fit for him. I think he wanted to get back west as he aged in his career a little bit. And it was really cool to have DeAndre Yedlin on this team. And I'm glad that he has found a place that wants him, signing him to a long-term deal.
Yeah. I think he's going to enjoy the views in Sandy. And he's got a nice stadium to go play in that we got to check out earlier this year. Kind of fun.
Watch out for the weightlifting challenge. Make sure you wear gloves.
Yeah, that is true. They could take a lot out of you. Other news around FC Cincinnati. Miles Robinson is here to stay for some good amount of time. I don't know. I don't have it up in front of me because I'm a really bad podcast host. He signed for a couple of more years here in Cincinnati, which is good to see. I don't think it comes as a real surprise. He did not have any more option years after this. So again, could have potentially been a free agent, and I think a very high prized free agent had he hit the open market, not just in MLS, but locked in for Cincinnati next year. I think this is a good move. I think in the abstract, everybody is excited and happy about this. And I think Miles is a good addition. This podcast, chief amongst them, have been critical of maybe the time he spends with the national team not playing. I think in the World Cup year of next year, it's unlikely that he is getting called away too often for the national team. I assume he is out of the picture there for the World Cup. Maybe not. Injuries happen. Maybe he plays out of his mind and wins MLS Cup for us, and that's enough to keep him in contention longer and longer. But I think it's a good move overall. I can't help but do this, and it's incredibly unfair to Miles to do this, though, Chief. But it's hard not to look at this move and look at his buddy in Matt Miazga and wonder if FC Cincinnati has the resources to maintain both of them beyond this year. How do we feel about this? How do we interpret this move? Was it one or the other?
I mean, if you're asking for resources, you just freed up resources by not having DeAndre Yedlin under contract. You weren't going to resign him. I think he
wasn't under contract next year.
What'd you say? He had an option next year.
He had an option, but he wasn't under contract. So.
He wasn't under contract. So, I mean, if you're just looking in terms of like, what is the budget going to look like next year? I mean, that's less money on the budget right there in terms of what you're doing.
Yeah.
Miles, he signed with an option through 2028. He is universally regarded as one of the best defenders in the league. Love it for Cincinnati. He's obviously very highly valued by Chris Albright and Pat Noonan. I don't think it really says anything about Matt Miazga one way or the other. I don't think it says anything about, the money that's available to sign Matt Miazga, because the reality is in this league, you're not giving a DP deal to a center back. So
unless you're Nashville,
you're not
or
doing
NYCFC.
You're not doing it if you know what you're doing. We'll put it that way. And it's ultimately going to be up to Matt to a certain extent. And does he want to be here as a max TAM player? Does he want to play someplace else as a max TAM player? Or does, at his age, does he want to go back to Europe and cash in see if he can get a higher salary somewhere? I don't know that he can get a higher salary at his age and his pedigree, but this is probably, I don't know that FC Cincinnati will be outbid in MLS for Matt Miazga. It's just, does he want to go back home? He's a New Jersey guy. I have no idea, but I don't think it changes anything about how they feel about Matt or whether or not they have the ability to keep Matt.
Cool.
Yeah, I agree with Chief. I think that right now they have Miazga and Miles on the same team, right?
Fair, very fair.
At basically max TAM deals.
Yes.
Right. So assume that they're not going to make either of them a DP under either circumstance. The question is, can you have both of them on your team at max TAM? The answer is yes.
Yeah, we're doing it right now. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I think I also would not make either of them a DP, because like Chief said, I'm not interested in this team having DP center backs.
Yeah.
I could be you could build a hypothetical to convince me of nearly anything. So you could probably build a roster where I would be like, oh, it makes sense for that team to have a DP center back. I don't think this is that team.
Right.
So, for me, the question is, does Matt want to, and they do have an option on Matt next year, so they could just call the option and see what they can do. But for me, the question is, does Matt want to be on a max TAM deal here or a max TAM deal elsewhere? And that's a question really only Matt can answer. I mean, you can imagine hypothetically also that they think maybe post injury they want to offer him a little less money. I'd kind of be surprised if that were the case. I still feel like he's worth the money he's on. Yeah. But I don't think this is going to be I don't expect this to be an ugly situation. It's just going to be, we're not going to offer him a DP deal. And so if he wants the same money somewhere else or another team offers him a DP deal, fine. Yeah. But speaking of the literal devil, Walker Zimmerman is a free agent after this season.
First off, how dare you?
Ooh. We know Miles Robinson turned down more money from Atlanta to come here. Could we convince another MLS center back royalty to take a little less money?
I'm very curious what Walker's next contract looks like. I mean, he's on like Kevin Denke money right now.
Hopefully he bought Bitcoin.
He is extremely important to like what Nashville does. He also is historically
he ain't that much more important to what Nashville does than someone making max TAM would be.
Fair. He's also, for a center back, very good at scoring goals. So, like, he does contribute on the goal sheet more often than most center backs. So,
my gut feeling is Miazga's back. I think they'll.
You think they run it back? Yeah.
I think they'll figure something out. I mean, they've got him on an option for next year, unless the team just doesn't want him, which, you know, we don't know. I would be surprised if that's the case. He's the captain. They seem to really value what it is, the leadership he brings back there.
Yeah.
You know, it would make a lot of sense for them to work something out now or this offseason so that, you know, he's already been through one pretty catastrophic injury, to get some financial certainty on a 2-3 year extension. I would see that being, I don't know, like, unless he is desperate to relocate somewhere else in the country, I think that there's a lot of room to get something done that would be beneficial for both sides here. And I hope they do. I think that the risk you take by not having Matt Miazga on this team is that he's an attitude guy and he's a glue guy. And you gotta have some good guys in the locker room, and you just gotta have some dickheads too. Like, you gotta have some people that are willing to, you know, to be a little on the other side. And you never want to have a team that's too far one way or the other. You got too many of those people and you're undisciplined, you're picking cards up, and you can't be counted on in big moments. You have not enough of those guys, you get pushed around, and you don't have the attitude you need to go out there and bully your way to a win every so often. So I think it is very important they get something done with Matt Miazga.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Throw it out there as well, just related to this, or, you know, just in terms of center back conversations. Nick Hagglund signed a very strange deal, to me anyway, when they re-signed him for this year, which is he was on a supplemental deal. He went back onto the senior roster for this year, but will be back on the supplemental roster next year. So we're not talking about a lot of money, but Nick Hagglund, who we were just singing his praises, suddenly becomes quote unquote free next year. So that's cool.
It's kind of smart if you can convince a player that it's okay to cycle them between the supplemental roster and the main roster. You can get them a little bit of extra cash when they're not on supplemental roster, and then cycle them back. I mean, it's kind of a life hack.
Yeah. So weird stuff there. Just to round out some of the other news, our good friend Geedy is now
Samuel Geedy
is now
Prime
official. And then finally, to wrap it all up, Amir Daly is on loan and already in the matchday squad to the Birmingham Legion in the USL Championship. I do think this is worth talking about for just a moment. I think it is interesting how few loans FCC uses. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but it does feel like we have a number of guys who are probably too good for FCC2, but not good enough for FCC. And then we just sort of let that sit. Like, I don't know. It
so
seems
are we doing body count discourse? Our loan body count isn't high enough, or maybe it's too high. Who knows? Depends who you ask.
The thing is, right, I don't have any other numbers in front of me to compare it. Maybe we're incredible.
This player will never find someone, you know, if they wait and have their fun first. I understand. They'll never find their forever team.
Yep.
It just feels like
I like this. I don't know why we don't do this more often.
Yes.
The only thing I can figure is that, number one, the USL Championship kind of sucks in terms of, you know, experience for the players. It's not exactly, you know, it differs in quality from place to place. And I think the other thing too,
it depends on where you end up.
Depends on where you
seems like lower end, whereas like they go on loan to like New Mexico or Louisville, maybe it's a little different.
And I also think the problem too is that if like the clubs that you would want to send your players on loan to, your New Mexico's, Sacramento's, Louisville's, they're probably buying better players than you're sending. So it's like, I think it would be great if we could send Stefan Chirilla to a team in the USL Championship to get minutes. But I don't know that he's going to get minutes in the USL Championship at the clubs that we would want him to be playing on there. And I don't know that I'm real keen for him to go to like, Bethlehem Steel or City Islanders and, train on a high school facility and, get changed in a porta-john by a running track, because that's the only team that will guarantee to give him minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like if he's going to ride the pine, I would rather him ride the bench here in Cincinnati in a pro setting surrounded by MLS players than ride the bench surrounded by, God love him, Forrest Lasso or something like that.
Yeah. I also wonder too, if as MLS continues to grow and develop, and there seems to be more of a split between not necessarily the haves and have-nots, just because like everybody here is a multi-billionaire a couple of times over, but just like spenders and non-spenders. If like sending a player like Sharilla on loan to Montreal or San Jose becomes more viable over time, sort of a lower end MLS team versus USL. So
if I were a USL team, I would make this my business model. It's already hard to make the finances work in USL for a lot of these teams. You start one of these in, Lexington, or you start one of these in Milwaukee, and it's like our business model is we will take the kids that are too good for MLS Next Pro and we will give them a place to develop at this level. And I think you could be tremendously successful as a USL Championship club using this as a strategy. I
mean, if the loaning club is picking up a lot of the salary, it might keep the business afloat. So,
yeah.
Oh, gosh. Well, is there any other FC Cincinnati news? I mean, not that wasn't enough, but I
guess stay tuned tomorrow, because the primary transfer window closes at what? Did we figure out midnight tomorrow?
I believe it is midnight Eastern tomorrow. I look forward to being corrected on that. I think U.S. Soccer has moved their offices officially at this point to Atlanta. I don't think they've moved to Miami. I think they're in Atlanta now.
I think FIFA moved to Miami.
That's it. And so I believe they've already sold Soccer House. So like, I don't even think they can do business in Chicago in the Central Time Zone. So
I guess watch this space. Could be a busy night tomorrow night.
Yeah, we'll see. God, do we just put a warning out there now that we may have to go live tomorrow at midnight, depending on what breaks or what doesn't break? Because I gotta be honest with you, I don't know how we keep Grayson on the pod going forward if there is no corresponding move.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. It's fine.
Nothing makes Grayson happier than having a reason to be just mad at the team for the remainder of the season.
Just Grayson becomes a member of the Coopers right then and there.
It's just they got a tough schedule for the last 7 games. They're probably already going to struggle in some of these matches. Now we got a reason.
Hey, there's another Shield contender or Cup contender that's adding big players just up the road. So,
something to keep an eye on. All right, well let's move on over to part 2, and let's talk about the game this weekend, shall we? All right, we are back, and we have a match this weekend. FC Cincinnati is hosting the third team of the PSRA/PRO. They are headlined by, of course, everybody's favorite member of the third team, Guido Gonzalez Jr.
This feels on purpose, right?
Yes.
That we booed the third team off the field in the last home match, and we need to be shown a thing or two as a fan base and as a club.
Yeah, it'll be another nice Nick Hagland you have there. Shame if I let him get hurt without consequence again.
Yeah. The last time
you think he goes up to Hagland and does one of those and see if he flinches?
I bet he goes up and absentmindedly just slaps him on the side, like being a good buddy, but like slaps his rib.
He legitimately owes Nick a massive apology. And I guarantee you he did not give it.
I heard
and probably doesn't think that he owes it.
I heard a very funny story over the in the last week or so with all of the former players being back in town.
Yeah.
That one of the more heartwarming moments of the festivities was Kendall Waston returning back to see some of his former teammates. That was quickly replaced by panic as he apparently went up and grabbed Nick Hagglund and gave him the most monstrous bear hug.
Oh, no.
That may or may not have caused a few garments to be soiled of people worried that things might have had a severe setback for Mr. Hagglund's injury.
Oh, no.
Well, turns out he's okay.
Well, yeah, if you can survive that, you can survive a bear hug from Kendall Waston, you should probably be good to go for the rest of the year.
A Kendall Waston stress test, every physical trainer's nightmare. Yeah, the last time we saw Guido was that Atlanta United match where Nick Hagglund had multiple ribs cracked, fractured, broken, and his lung collapsed. And Guido yelled at Hagglund for faking it and made him walk the long way around the field with that partially collapsed lung. So, should be cool to have that. Oh, NYCFC will also be at that game. I guess I should mention them briefly here.
So in did you guys read Carter Chapley's Gamer about the Portland match last week about Ender's return? And there was a bit in there where he may have suggested in the early part of the game against Portland that Ender may have gotten a little aggressive with a challenge on Portland's goalkeeper just to sort of set the tone a little bit.
Oh, Evander,
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you start Nick Hagglund just to see if he like clears out Guido accidentally?
I mean, it's an auto red card.
Maybe I didn't see you there.
No such thing.
Oh yeah, there is no such thing. Maybe it's a wait and see and observe type situation,
or maybe he does it like pre-match so that he can't get a red card for it.
That's a good question. I assume once you're out of the locker room, like the rules are in effect as far as the referee is concerned, but.
We got to send them a pizza before this game, right?
Now we're talking.
Just pepperoni pizza.
Tunnel Club, you know what to do. I'm speaking to all of the Tunnel Club listeners, none of you.
Right. If any of the people at the Tunnel Club know the number for La Rosa's, get on that.
Oh, God. New York City. I don't know. They're in okay form. They did just beat Nashville for whatever it's worth. They had a real mixed bag in Leagues Cup. They beat Leon. They lost to Puebla and Toluca. They did beat FC Dallas in what was, I'm trying to see here. Yeah, no, Lucho was not in this game, or did not start, but they beat them 4-3 in a wild one. FC Cincinnati had the fantastic victory over the Portland Timbers, disregarding most of the second half. Tough loss to Charlotte before that, despite having dominated most of that game right up until the red card for Brian Anunga. So I don't know. Vibes going into this one. Should we be confident in a win here? Regardless of what the corresponding move is for Yedlin, that player will not be a part of this game, I assume. Hell, depending on where they're coming from, they may not even be in the country by the time of this game. So some combination of Ender Echenique, Alvis Powell, Lucas Angle is going to be filling in it right back. I don't know. How do we feel? What are we thinking?
Feel great. Feel great.
Something has changed from the beginning of this episode.
Addition by subtraction.
Truly, DeAndre Yedlin was holding this team
just
back.
got him off the roster. Now everything's going to be perfect. The last showing that we had against NYCFC was one of those where we were completely non-competitive.
It was on their field, though.
It was on their field, right? But we still gave up a goal in the 9th minute and did nothing. Like, it wasn't one of those where we score on Columbus in the 9th minute and they completely dominate the rest of the game.
Yeah.
It was kind of the opposite of that.
That's like in so much as that the opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. Like,
yeah, we were indifferent that game.
It was indifferent. It was an indifferent 81 minutes following the goal.
Yeah. So, I hope this game's better.
Yeah, that would be nice. I'm trying to think of, was that? Yep, no, there was no great context to that game. It was a weird one. So there was a stretch of FC Cincinnati had won the previous 5 games, undefeated the previous 6 games, lost that game, won the next 2, and then had the draw against Columbus. And then the very bad week happened.
The week we don't speak of.
It was a weird sort of blip in the schedule, in the calendar there. I mean, if FC Cincinnati goes on to win the Shield, or at the very least, the fact that FC Cincinnati is still in the Shield race now is because of that stretch of virtually, perfect win streak, undefeated streak, except for this little tiny blemish right smack in the middle of it, which was NYCFC. It's a weird one. So you don't have the excuse of it was early in the season and there was CCL or something like that. It genuinely was just like a weird, tough game. There were no midweek games anywhere around this.
That's just us versus NYCFC. There are just certain teams that, for whatever reasons, like tactically, Pat Noonan and his system and the players have a difficult time competing against for whatever reason. There are certain teams that we struggle to defend under Pat Noonan's system, like Columbus, I think, falls into that category. And there are certain teams that we struggle to break down under Pat Noonan's system. And I would say that if you go back and look at the games we have played against NYCFC, going back even to last year in the playoffs, that we have had, or this iteration of FC Cincinnati has had a very, very difficult time breaking down and scoring on and creating scoring chances against this NYCFC team, whether that's here at TQL Stadium or whether that's, playing them on the postage stamp at Yankee Stadium. I don't know what it is. You look up and down their roster. It's not like they have great talent around the roster. They've got some nice players. They've got some annoying players. Maxi Morales is still on this team, but you don't know what this team's going to look like with, potentially a completely different arrangement out there on the wings. Denke's back. That's good. I don't know. I have a tough time seeing this being any different than what we've seen out of this team versus NYCFC. And that's probably a 1-0 or a 1-1 result going either way.
Yeah. Also, for what it's worth, NYCFC currently 8th, FC Cincinnati currently 1st, pending the results of the play-in game. Very likely opponent for FC Cincinnati in the first round of the playoffs, even plus or minus a couple of places here. So an interesting test from that perspective, and also unfortunate given everything that Chief just said. So, prediction time. Grayson, how do we see this one going? A Yedlin-less FC Cincinnati, something we haven't seen since the last time FC Cincinnati won a Shield.
Well, I've been very skeptical of the Yedlin move, right? And so
Correct.
Obviously this is going to be the first game with Yedlin out of the team. And so I should probably put my money where my mouth is
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be 3-1 to the FC.
Ender Echenike with the hat trick.
An Ender Echenike
3
brace.
Ender Echenike goals. No. Actually, 2 assists for Echenike.
Yeah, 2 assists
all from him getting forward.
Just the next episode is just a giant mea culpa to Chris Albright.
And the 1 goal going the other way is because he gets absolutely torched.
Yes, absolutely.
Like absolutely annihilated.
We get the full Echenike experience. Chief, if you had
But we
to
see
put
the
a
vision.
number to it.
Yeah. So if you go back, the last matchup versus NYCFC, we lost 1-0.
Mhm.
We drew 0-0 before that. We lost 3-1.
Well,
We won 1-0.
we drew
we lost-
0-0. We were knocked out in
Eliminated on
penalties in the
that- right.
playoffs. Yeah.
So 0-0 draw, lose 3-1, win 1-0, lose 3-2, win 4-2. So, we're just going back and forth trading wins. I got to pick the FC to win. I'm going to say they win 1-0.
Okay. Like a
And
1-0
it's going to be the most
victory.
miserable 1-0 win you can possibly imagine.
Is it a late winner or an early winner? Like score in the
Just-
first 5 minutes.
It is they create a ton of chances in the first half. They break through right before halftime and then do absolutely nothing in the second half.
That's our specialty.
Yeah.
I will say FC Cincinnati wins 2-0. Don't ask me how. Don't ask me why. 2-0. It feels right. This is a vibes-based podcast and a vibes-based prediction.
Yeah.
So there you go. Regardless of how it shakes out, we'll be back on Monday. And by the way, to talk about it. By the way, no, we're not doing Patreon questions this month. We are taking the Cincinnati Bucket List Challenge is what I've decided to call it because it needs a list or it needs a name. And we are taking suggestions on things to do in Cincinnati, things you have to do in Cincinnati. And we are going to compile that into a challenge in the month of September. So please, if you have not done it, submit it. And we are going to put this together. It's going to be really fun. I'm excited about this. There have been some amazing suggestions so far. Keep them realistic. Everybody's been pretty good about that so far. Appreciate that. And
Yeah. None of us are jumping into the gorilla enclosure. Okay. We're not going to do it. Maybe
No.
Grayson.
But I will just make this. We got a lot of Coney suggestions covered. I feel like if we get too many Coney suggestions,
We may have to
not
travel. We may have to
survive.
travel to Africa and find them. Is that what?
Yes, actually, that's it. Joseph Coney,
Away days. Joseph Coney.
who was probably already dead before the campaign.
Yeah.
But there you
It's
go.
the best kind of campaign. You don't have to do any work. It's already done.
So there you go. Okay. With that, Chief.
Fuck Columbus.
The Cincy Postcast is a production of The Post Cincy. You can check us out online at thepostcincy.com. You can also follow us on Twitter and Blue Sky, Facebook, and Instagram. Twitter and Blue Sky, though, you'll find we're a little more active than the other places. We're also on YouTube, where you can listen to this episode if you aren't listening to it already. We are also putting up video content semi-regularly, including the Away Days series. We want to give a huge thank you to Jim Trace and the Makers for providing the music for this episode. They are a lovely band, and you can find more information out about them in the description of this episode. And if you happen to enjoy what you just heard, can I please ask that you like us, that you rate us on whatever app you're listening to, and maybe more importantly than all of that, share this episode with a friend. When it comes up at work, you're talking about FC Cincinnati, I say, hey, I listened to an FC Cincinnati podcast. I think you guys will like it. It would really, really help us out. Nothing helps a podcast travel more than a good recommendation from a friend, family member. That would be awesome. When it comes to the sorting algorithms that control our lives, a 5-star review would be much appreciated. Also, leaving a sort of written review weirdly does more than that. That's how the algorithms work. So maybe say a nice or a mean thing, whatever. Just as long as you give us 5 stars, that'll really, really, really help us out. And if you are looking for more MLS content, check out our other podcast, The World's Gam. Again, a link will be in the description of this episode. That is where we touch on league-wide storylines and news, and we talk about other games and a couple other teams in there as well. Think you will enjoy it if you are just dipping your toes into Major League Soccer. A huge thank you to all of our sponsors. A even bigger thank you to all of our patrons over at Patreon. But maybe most importantly, thank you for listening to this episode.